Question for Bonnie. How aware were you when you were 9 years old that the part of Ginny was going to be built up to what it's become, and how thrilled were you when you read the 7th book?
Yeah, obviously when I started, I kind of was meant to be the characters obviously a year below Harry and Ron and Hermione, so she hadn't yet joined Hogwarts. So I think as the film sort of grew, she grew into herself. She was obviously always this shy younger sister who kind of ran away at the sight of Harry. So I think she's kind of definitely grown into herself. So it's been lovely to sort of slowly, I think she's really developed much, I think, slowly than the other characters. She's slowly come through, and I think in this film, I think David Yates and I started in the last film to really kind of make her a lot more confident and outgrowing and sort of almost grow past her brothers, even though she's the youngest. So it's definitely been exciting and an experience to develop her in this film.
Okay, and there's a gentleman in the 8th row here. Yes.
Hi, I'm Ricky from CBBC Newsround. My question's to Daniel, Bonnie, and to Tom as well. Recently, lots of viewers complained that there was too much kissing in Robin Hood on the BBC. And with the new light that this film has taken on, it's slightly funnier, there's a bit of kissing going on. Do you guys think you're alienating the younger viewers, or do you think they'll be able to cope?
I'm sure they'll be able to cope. I mean, I really am. There's plenty of stuff, and if they can't, and if they, you know, don't like it, just close their eyes and then open them again in about a minute or so, and then they rejoin the film. It's fine. You know, I really don't see that as being a problem.
It's not like there's half an hour's constant kissing. It's quite mild, I think, in the scheme of things. Compared to normal school at that age, it's really not that bad.
No, yeah, precisely.
There's a gentleman just at the back in a white shirt. Has he got the microphone? Yes. Yes, you. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
It's now nearly 10 years and nearly 8 movies. I can ask this question only to those who have been with all the movies, but could you tell a little bit about the most exciting or funny moments and the contrary?
This is for you, Dan.
So the funniest moment of the last 10 years of my life in a sentence. Right, okay.
No pressure.
You know what? It is always a very, very difficult question to answer because there have been loads of incredibly funny moments on the set of Harry Potter. I would now probably struggle to name one, but you know, it's constant. You know, it's a constant thing. I'm always. Just because there is not a funny story happening, it doesn't mean that I'm not having fun a lot of the time, which I was. You know, in terms of the contrary, in terms of the least fun things, I mean, Quidditch is right up there with the least fun things I've done on Harry Potter. Certainly, it's not a pleasant experience. It does hurt quite a lot, and you know, it's not something I would rush back to. Tom, you can agree.
Yeah, I'm glad I haven't done it since the second film. I was just laughing to myself.
Yes, I had to do it for all of them, pretty much, apart from this. That's been my favourite thing about them. We're filming 7 at the moment, and my favourite thing about this one is that I have no Quidditch. And actually, was there any broomstick work in 6? Yes, there was.
Quidditch in 5.
There was no Quidditch in 5, was there? That was good.
Cool.
Yes, so Quidditch was the low point, and you can take everything else as being the high point.
I think it's really hard to pinpoint like these key memories that you may be after, because the whole thing is just one big laugh, really. I know certainly with Michael on set, there's not a lot of moments left awkward. It is generally just giggling and laughing the whole way.
I'm very quiet. I never laugh.
I don't recall that at all, Michael.
I have said in interviews before, Michael, that you're the least professional actor I've ever worked with. and the most respected.
Yeah. I'm very proud of that.
But I love you for it.
Okay. I think there's a lady in the 5th row here. Yeah. Thank you. And then we'll come over to this side. At the front to front.
Two short questions for the director and David. Each sequence of a movie seems a painting. Did you have in mind as a reference some painters in particular? And for David, you gave so much to all the movies, but Daniel, there is a movie that you prefer to all the others in the saga, or not?
I can, before you get onto the lighting, I can do that very, very quickly. Yes, my favourite, and I say this not just because David Yates is sitting at the table, but my favourite, despite having seen number 6, is actually number 5. It's my favourite because of the Gary Oldman and Harry, the Gary Oldman and my relationship in the film was my favourite thing to do. So that's my favourite of the films. David.
And Rembrandt actually was a big influence, and Bruno Del Bonal, who lit
the movie and shot the movie for us, who's such a gifted special DOP. He's very expressive in his use of light. And so we looked at lots of paintings, and we always felt we wanted this to feel very lyrical and beautiful and painterly. And Bruno is a master of that, frankly. And we were very lucky to get him for this movie. You know, I've been a huge fan of his work for a long time, and we were very lucky that he came on board. We had a ball with him as well. He was delightful to work with, and was very charming,
I can definitely
generous
second
man.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was great.
Good,
It was
good
cool.
man.
Okay, if we could just, the microphone go to the third row for Anwar, and then we'll come over here for about 3 questions. Thank you.
It's a question for the two Davids. While I understand the decision to move the release date to next week was made independent of your production, I wonder if that afforded you the opportunity to do anything that might otherwise have been a struggle, or add anything extra in that perhaps you hadn't initially intended?
You know, inevitably, if the film has just sat there for a year, you want to go back and have a look at it, and we did. You know, we just we reflected on it, and we had time to look at it. Nothing really significant changed, I would say, fundamentally. You know, we tuned it up a wee bit, but nothing significant.
I mean, to a degree, because we were working on
7.
2 films, 7 Part 1 and 2, that means the time was limited. But, you know, the fact is, if the film wasn't being released for another 18 months, David Yates would still be tweaking, because that's his nature, which is, you know, he wants to make everything perfect, you know, as good as it can be. And mine too. But no, there were sort of very minimal, you know, tweaks here and there, just, you know,
tiny things, really.
Yeah. And we play, yeah, that's it, really.
Is that of an effects nature? I mean,
No, the effects were, we didn't do anything to the effects. I mean, there was maybe 1 or 2 visual effects shots in the cutting a scene. Just there were a couple of shots added that would change, that needed a background.
The fact is, you could work on a film for the rest of your life. You know, it's great to have a deadline, because you have to let something go. And fortunately, we had a deadline.
And actually, truthfully, I think that one of the hardest parts about postponing the release of 6 for us was the fact that it's still hanging over you, in a sense. As you want to let the film go, you want to put it out there. And we're really proud of 6, but we are now really proud of it. I mean, I couldn't be prouder. But we're now on to the 7th. And that's where our headspace is. That's what we're focusing on. If someone asked me the synopsis of 6, I mean, I got asked the synopsis of 6, it was an Italian journalist, and it was on TV, and I must have taken around 7 minutes not to answer the question, because my head was already in 7. And I think that's probably true for all of us. That's the hardest part of the process. Is now we're talking about 6, but our head has moved on.